remember, my PhD on theology, just so you guys know who you're dealing with here.
So we call you Dr. Jim?
Pardon?
So we call you doctor?
Whatever. The holiness is fine. No, I really did think I was just learning all these really deep things, complicated things with very, very big words, and not just in English. You had to know the Greek and the Latin. But yeah, it's very impressive. But I'll tell you what is so gorgeous, because of how God showed up to me when I was really little, young. Oh God, I'm getting emotional. I don't even want to get emotional, but it's like talking about when your daughter was first born or something. But God met me as lover, certainly as father, but the love was so freaking overwhelming in my life because I was so desperate for it,
Mm-hmm.
And what happened, I was not really that surprised for some reason. I just thought it was amazing that he loved me, but I wasn't surprised that God was loving, because the first time I met him, I was 8. In my little 8-year-old mind, it's like I met him and I went, okay, that's who God is, and I literally never let go of it, my whole life. And so I'm there doing a PhD, and I remember I was always talking to my professors, and now they're colleagues and friends in some cases, because they could see I was about to, arrive. And I was always talking to them about relational theology, is what I called it. And it was coming out of my own experience with God, like you're describing, Jim. When John writes there, how do you know? Well, that's how I know. I mean, I have an inner witness and an inner experience. And if you said, well, what is it? I say, well, it's love.
Yep.
I just can't get really too much beyond that. And how do you know it's God love? Well, because it's bigger than anything I can create by myself. But here's what's amazing. The more I fall into that love, the more it comes out of me, and I recognize it. I can see that is, whoa, that's an overflow of what I'm experiencing when I meet God. It's not just me, it is me. So this is the mystery of it. I know I have that as a beloved son of God, and the Imago Dei, sorry guys, the image of God present in me. I know there's some participation, but people experience it and they want to go, God, you're so loving. And I don't try to correct them really, but I know it's because there's this emanating reality. And that has always been a part of my experience. And so it is difficult when I think about men in a lumen who may not actually know that.
No. There's many men that don't know that.
Yeah, they're doing all the stuff, and maybe they've learned the words like I was learning, But I was always rooting them back into this relationship. So I talked to them, yeah, but what about relational theology? And they'd just look at me, what? I said, well, it's all about relationship, right relationship with God, right relationship with everything, right relationship with yourself, and, and love, and they just would glaze over. They did not really want to talk about love.
Yep.
It was just kind of like over there on the shelf. Oh yeah, yeah.
You know what? Exactly what you're talking about. I go back 30 years. I can remember like it was yesterday. I'm reading Thomas Merton, sitting in the chair in my bedroom, and all of a sudden, obviously saying so many profound things. And I caught on one thing, and I really got into a deep presence state. And my inner body just felt, just vibrating, vibrant inner life. And I got to be honest with you, I was scared shit. That's the problem. I didn't go back to meditation for probably 10 years.
Oh,
It was like scary getting still. It was like, what? Oh, yeah, it was really scary. And I went, damn, I can't do this.
I only had one time.
I said I can't do it until I realized I wasn't doing it.
I had one time like that, Jim, where it was, many times where, I mean, literally almost all the time, this kind of vibrancy. But there was one time in stillness, and it's back, I'm evangelical, but I am praying, but it's a different kind. It is absolutely what I describe now, falling into the posture where I meet God. It was so wide open, and I was singing. So it's the closest I've ever thought, if the spirit of tongues actually happened, it must be like this, because I was just singing, but it was in English, but it was just coming out of me. I was somehow in tune, and I'm tears in my, and I'm just sitting there worshiping God and experiencing God. And it got so intense at one point in that period where I actually said to God, and this is after a lot of time in my journey, okay, you got to stop. It was so intense. I thought I was going to just like go to rapture or something, go to heaven. I just thought, pardon?
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I told you, I think you got to pull back just a little bit. I didn't want him to go away. I just got to pull back. It was too much. And he did. He just pulled back just a little bit.
Yeah.
But I didn't leave, like you. I wanted more.
You were saying, give me spirit light.
But, I went and told my roommate, who was a youth minister at the time after this, because I had this encounter that was just extra, and it was so loving. And his name was Jeff. And I saw him on campus, and we're walking, and I call him over, all excited like, and he comes over, and I go, Jeff, and I'm already starting to tear up, God spoke to me this morning in my quiet time. We called them quiet times. And he goes, really? And he goes, just like this. What'd he say? But he's looking at me. He doesn't really, you can tell, he doesn't really think he's going to get much for some reason. I see it on his face, and I go, and tears start pouring down my face. And I go, God loves me, I say, with all this, experience. Wow. It's like telling somebody, I told her, I asked her, and she said she loves me. It was that kind of experience. And he's looking at me, and he goes just like this. He goes, and and I go, no, that's it. He really, really loves me, I said, and I'm just weeping. And he looks at me, and he didn't do this, but his body, it was like he had his notepad out, and he was getting ready to write something. God spoke. Well, let's hear it. And then he went, oh, and he put his thing up, and he goes like this. He goes, yeah, I remember the first time I realized that, or something like that. And he walks off, and I remember I was just watching him walk off, and I'm like, he doesn't even know what I'm talking about.
That's right. That's right.
He can't with that kind of casual.
You're right.
Yeah,
absolutely.